APCUG's Wednesday workshop, where we get together in the middle of the week and we learn more about technology. We're continuing our theme of World Backup Day, and this session we are going to talk about specific programs that you can use that can back up your computer for different ways. We're going to start off first with a program for you Mac people, and we're going to turn things over in a second to Jerry Rogan. And Jerry served in the U.S. Air Force as a software engineer. And after the service, he started his own industrial software company, which was later sold to Eagle Technology in the Milwaukee area. He served as the national sales manager and then became CEO of Souls Limited, a North American company, until his retirement. He's now a snowbird, spending summers in Iowa with his family and winters in Arizona, where he enjoys golf and is the past president of the Sunland Spring Village Technology Group. Today, he's going to be talking about a program called Time Machine. And so Jerry, help all the Mac users know how to back up stuff.
All righty. Thank you. Let me get my screen up. Can you see my screen, John?
Good to go.
All righty. I'm going to... Okay, on the Macintosh, yeah, I'm retired. My life is fairly simple. This presentation is not going to take long, but we're going to really cover a lot of things. When you get your Macintosh, there is a built-in software package called Time Machine that's exactly for backing up your Mac computer. Whoops. With Time Machine, you can back up your files on your Mac that were not part of the Mac OS installation. So you can back up the apps, music, photos, documents, and so forth. When Time Machine is turned on, it can automatically back up your Mac and perform hourly, daily, and weekly backups of your files. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. How do you find the Time Machine? Very simply, look at your toolbar, and on the left, you'll see a thing that looks like a clock. That's your Time Machine icon. So the first use, you will want to select Open Time Machine Settings. This is your complete Time Machine menu. So you'll click on Open Time Machine Settings. The next thing you need to do is determine your backup preferences and where you're going to back up and so forth. Again, very, very simple. You can back up to an external hard drive. For this presentation, I admit that we didn't have a lot of time to prepare the presentation, so I dug out an old hard drive I had from a PC and plugged it in my Mac. But I also use a flash drive that has regular UBS on it, as well as the lightning plug for the Apple. I heard the previous comments about flash drives aren't reliable and so on and so forth. I've used this flash drive for almost 4 years, and I've never had an issue with it. So I think it depends on the quality of the flash drive. If you go to a fair somewhere and some insurance company is giving out flash drives, yeah, don't look for that one to last very long. But if you get a good one, they work very, very well. So during your first use, you need to select the external backup device that you're going to use. And you do that by hitting the plus or minus sign right there. Now, I've already selected external drive, which, as I said, was a PC drive that I plugged into my Mac. So once I select the drive, I got the following message, and you may get the same thing just the first time. It'll say, do you want to erase the external drive so it can be used for Time Machine? This hard drive, if I click on erase external drive, this hard drive now will only work with Macintosh Time Machine. So it's a dedicated hard drive. And if you've got a tremendous amount of information on your Mac, again, you may want to go and get 1 or 2 or 3 extra hard drives so you can rotate your drives and store one in a safe place. That was an excellent suggestion. In my case, yeah, I had to reset the hard drive. The next screen that comes up wants to know, what backup frequency do you want? Again, very simple. You can select manual, which is what I do. You can select automatically every hour, automatically every day, or automatically every week. Those 3 automatic choices will require you to leave your hard drive plugged in all the time, which I also don't suggest. Perhaps you could do that with an SSD hard drive, but a spinning hard drive, I wouldn't do it. So I go manually. When I want to back up, I just go to Time Machine and select Backup Now, and it's off and done. The next screen in your setup is you have to enter, well, first of all, you have to decide, do I want to encrypt the backup? Whoops. Do I want to encrypt the backup? And you can do that by simply sliding the button to the right. You're going to put in a password, and you're going to re-enter the password to make sure they match, and a hint. And disk usage limit, I say none. Okay, once you click done, your first backup starts automatically. It's going to take everything off of your Mac with the exception of the operating system and back it up. Now you can choose what you want to back up, but the drives are so fast, why would you want to bother? Just back up everything all at one time. With the price of today's hard drives, you can certainly do that. You can also, by going to the Time Machine, you can stop the backup if it's taking too long. If you're using a flash drive, it's going to be, I'm going to say, painfully slow to back up. You use a hard drive, it's going to be very, very quick. But you can stop the backup. You can click on Browse Time Machine Backups, and you'll see all of your backups. And of course, we just looked at Open Time Machine settings. What will happen if you fill up your external drive and you're ready for another backup? Time Machine will take the oldest backup and delete it to make room for the new backup. So it's a continual cycle. You just don't have to follow it at all. Very clean, very simple. I guess that's why a lot of us Mac users are Mac users. So if you leave your external device connected all the time, when you're ready for backup, you can manually select backup. If you selected one of the automatic options, you don't need to do anything at all. Time Machine will just continue to back up on a schedule you choose. If your device fails, again, Time Machine will delete the oldest backup to make room for the new backup. It's about as easy as you'd expect from a Macintosh. Now, if you live in the Apple ecosystem as I do, and share your documents with on your Mac and your iPhone and your iPad, I only want to mention you can set up iCloud backup to automatically back up your files when your device is connected to a charger. You don't have to click on anything. You don't have to touch anything. All you have to do is plug your phone in or plug your iPad in. The information will automatically go to the iCloud. That's what I basically use. I use the Mac Time Machine perhaps once every 3 months. The rest of the time, I just back up my iPhone and my iPad by plugging them in at night and charging them. So you'll turn on your iPhone or your iPad. You'll go to Settings. you will click on your name at the top left side of settings. On the right side of the screen, you'll see iCloud Backup. You'll click on that. You'll then see this iCloud Backup screen where you can say back up this iPad or back up this iPhone. You can click Backup now, or you can wait until that night when you plug that device into charge, and it will automatically back up to the iCloud. Now, my only comment on the iCloud is Apple will give you 5 GB for free. Even as an old retired guy, that's not enough for me. So I had to extend that. So I got 50 GB for $1 a month, which is handling all of my 10,000 photos and my documents and everything else quite nicely. So for $1 a month, every time I plug in my iPhone or my iPad, the latest information is uploaded and backed up. So should I lose my iPhone, my iPad, or if I break them, or my Mac, I can restore off of that iCloud backup almost instantly. In fact, when we upgrade our phones, when we go in and we trade in our phone and get a new phone, we simply do a backup at the store. And while we're right there, we say do a restore, and our new phone looks just exactly like our old phone. And it only takes a matter of minutes. And it is all encrypted, so you don't need to worry about that. So now when you change that device, it'll automatically back everything, or when you charge that device, I'm sorry, it'll back up everything else. What could be easier? So I'll use the time machine to back up my entire hard drive, or from the Mac to the hard drive. But then daily, all of my data gets backed up from my iPhone or my iPad when I charge it up. I just don't, that's one of the reasons I'm in the Apple ecosystem. I just don't know what could be easier. Those of you who are still working and have all kinds of mountain of business documents and so forth, this may not work for you, but for the rest of us, it works fabulously. Okay, if you've got any questions, you can use the chat room and Judy will monitor that. All I ask is you keep them simple because I am an old man.
Oh, that's
Thanks for
great,
inviting
Jerry.
me.
At this time, we want to thank Jerry for sharing a program to use with the Mac OS. And if you've attended any of our Linux workshops, you've heard of a program, sounds very similar, called Time Shift, which does the exact same thing for the Linux world. Now we're going to switch and head to the Windows operating system. And Bill James, who everybody should know by now, is a part of our team and has done presentations. He first got involved in PC Users Group back in '92. When he joined what was the Oklahoma PC Users Group. Now he is known as, now it's known as the Computer Club of Oklahoma City. And he wanted to learn more about computer he just bought. He's been a member of the club's board of directors since '98. Usually what happens when somebody young gets in there and they get hooked or they get yanked. Bill served 2 terms as president, as currently is their vice president of operation. He's very involved with home automation. You want to know anything about that? Get a hold of Bill. He uses Google Home to automate his home. He loves his Chromebook. He's his club's go-to person on everything Android. In addition, he's broadening his knowledge base by learning the Mac OS, the iOS for Apple products, and he even has a Linux laptop. As a member of the Speakers Bureau, he frequently gives presentations to groups on Windows 11, Android devices, home automation, synchronizing devices, and Chromebook. He's also the regional advisor for APCU's Region 8. Today, he's going to be talking to us about backing up with Windows 11 and their program. So, Bill, let's share and tell the Windows 11 people what they can do.
Thank you, John. It's not quite as simple as Jerry did for Macs, but we're going to give it a go. Let me get my screen shared here.
Oh, and remember, text that email or the chat that went to you. For this group, if you have questions for Jerry, put a J in front of it. Bill, put a B, and for Steve, put an S so that Judy knows who the person to ask.
I think I'm gonna have a dog problem. Good morning, everyone. We're going to talk about backing up Windows 10 and Windows 11 using file history. Backing up your documents and other files in Windows is always advisable in case the originals ever get lost or corrupted. That's especially true for files that are important, sensitive, or irreplaceable. Ideally, you'll want a seamless and automated way to back up your files so that you don't have to keep doing it manually. You can turn to a variety of third-party backup programs. However, a tool built into Windows is worth trying, namely File History. The File History feature in Windows 10 and 11 allows you to automatically back up important files and documents to an external location. You can then quickly recover them. Creating routine backups of your data is common advice you hear from tech professionals. But let's face it, few of us care about creating multiple copies of important data. We want to rely on that one single copy of a file stored on a disk. However, problems arise when you encounter a system crash, corruption, or disk failure. Windows 10 and 11 offer a file history feature that creates routine backups in multiple copies. Microsoft introduced file history with Windows 8 to offer an option to create automated backups. The idea was to create duplicate copies of data stored in selected folders on the C drive on another storage device. File history backs up documents, music, pictures, downloads, videos, offline OneDrive files, and desktop folders. All you need is a USB external hard drive, which you must always be connected to your system. By default, file history will back up specific folders under your user account. You can remove and add folders to ensure all files you choose are backed up no matter where they reside. The downside of using file history is that its days may be numbered. There are rumors that Microsoft plans to deprecate the feature at some point, forcing users to turn to other backup methods such as OneDrive. One clue to file history's future lies in the way it works in Windows 11 versus Windows 10. In Windows 10, the feature is easy to set up and use as you run it from the Settings app. But in Windows 11, Microsoft removed file history from Settings. Your only option is to run it from the control panel, which is clumsy and seems like a clear step backwards. Regardless of Microsoft's plans for file history, the tool remains accessible in both Windows 10 and 11 and functions as a capable backup method. As long as it's still around, it's worth using. We will discuss how to take advantage of it in both Windows 10 and 11. In Windows 10, you'll want to go to Settings, Update, and Security Backup. Connect the drive or device you want to use as the backup location. Click the button for Add a Drive and select the drive you wish to use. This turns on file history. Once the drive is selected, the backup will begin. As in this case, you can see we're using My Passport. At the backup options screen, you'll want to click the drop-down menu for Backup My Files and set the backup interval anywhere from 10 minutes to daily. Next, the menu to keep my backups and decide how long you wish to retain each backup, anywhere from a space is needed to forever. Next, you can set which folders to include or exclude in the backup. You want to review the folders that are already tagged for file history. If any folders you want backed up are not listed, click the Add a Folder button and select that folder. As in this case, Save Games. If the list displays any folder you don't want backed up, select it and then click the Remove button. To exclude any folder not displayed in the list, such as a subfolder, click the Add a Folder button in the section for Exclude these folders and select that folder. Depending on the backup schedule you choose, the file history backup may already start it by itself. If not, scroll to the top of the screen and click the Backup Now button. The backup was stored in the background, both now and repeating at the interval you set. You can go about your work as the backup runs. After it's completed, the overview section indicates the date and time of the last backup. Should one or more of your files backed up through file history go missing or gets corrupted or is otherwise unreadable or unusable, you will want to restore that file from the backup. To do so, scroll to the bottom of the backup option screen, click the link for Restore Files from Current Backup. A file history window pops up showing the last backup. If you need a file from a previous backup, you'll click the left arrow icon at the bottom of the screen. Continue clicking the icon to go back in time to each prior backup. You'll click the right arrow to move ahead. When you find the backup you need, open the folder that contains the file or files you want to restore. Select those files, then click the green Restore button at the bottom. The files are restored to their original location. For the Windows 11 file history backup, the procedure is somewhat different. To use file history in Windows 11, make sure the drive you want to use as the backup location is connected. You'll open the control panel in the icon view and select File History, the File History icon, or click the search icon. You can type File History and select the result. The File History window should point to the backup destination under Copy Files to. If more than one backup drive is connected, click the link on the left for Select Drive. Select the drive you wish to use and click OK. You can add other folders to the backup beyond the default ones. The process here is a little kludgy, but because by default, file history in Windows 10 backs up all the folders listed in under libraries. That's not the case in Windows 11. To add another folder to the backup, you have to open File Explorer, right-click on the folder, and select Show More Options. From the full context menu, select Include in Library, then add it to an existing folder or create it as a new library. That folder will then be included in file history. To exclude a folder, click the link for Exclude Folders, click the Add button, and then select the folder you wish to exclude from the backup. Return the main file history control panel window and click Link for Advanced Settings. And then you can click the drop-down menu for Save Copies or Files and set the backup interval. Click the drop-down menu to keep Save Version and set how long file history backup should be retained. When done, click Save Changes. To restore file history in Windows 11, the backup should already started at this point. If not, click Run Now, the Run Now link. If you need to restore a file at some point in the future, return to the file history screen in the control panel and click the link for Restore Personal Files. Search your backups and open a folder that contains the file you wish to restore. Select the file and click the button for Restore to Original Location, and your file will be restored to its original spot. So my final thoughts are, why not use OneDrive to create a backup system image? That's the question. Both options indeed back up your data to some extent, but they have their inherent flaws when it comes to automating backups. Creating a system image requires a fairly large storage space on a disk. You cannot create system images regularly and store them on disks just for creating backups of 1 or 2 gigabytes of important files. Similarly, OneDrive backs up the data present in the OneDrive's folder on a disk. You can get a cloud backup, but it needs an internet connection to work. Moreover, OneDrive doesn't back up the data present in other disk locations, which could be equally important. Both OneDrive and system image options do not automate the backup creation process, and that is the precise reason why file history feature in Windows exists. Lastly, Microsoft removed the file history option from the Settings app in Windows 11, so you can only access it from the control panel. But it is a fairly simple method that you can use always to create redundant backups. Moreover, you can add or remove folders and change storage devices when the needs arise. Some of the sources that I used for this presentation was how to back up and restore your files in Windows and PC Mag, how to set up and use file history in Windows 11 that was in Make Use Of, and how to back up your files in Windows 10 and 11 with file history as a ZDNet. So that completes our presentation on Windows 10 and 11 file history, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thanks, Bill. Helps a lot for people who are Windows users on something that comes right with it. I did notice that people were taking some screenshots with their cameras of some of these. Don't forget, Judy taught us that if you hit the window print screen on your Windows computer, that will take a quick screenshot, save it to your desktop, and you can get to it later. In other devices, it might just be hit the print screen and save that as a screenshot in Linux or maybe in Macs.